Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next Premiere tutorial. In this lesson we are going to be talking about mask path. So we're going to build on what we've been practicing so far. We're going to create a mask to mask out a subject, and we're also going to use keyframes to have the mask animated and move to reveal text. So you're going to create something like this. We're going to create a mask around this subject of this car. It's going to move and it's going to reveal the text behind it. So we're going to do what we've been practicing so far with masks and keyframes. So as always, download today's exercise files, put them in a project folder, and create a new project in Premiere Pro, and then bring your exercise files in. So I'll give you a second, pause the video to do that if you haven't already. I've already walked you through that multiple times, so you should be doing that correctly by now. So pause video and then return to this point once you're ready. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use two exercise files. So I'm going to let you practice twice. Let's start with the car one. Take the car, bring it onto our timeline so we can start editing it. You can see right here, we have the car. If I just play the video, it's a short little second clip of the car just driving away. Simple as that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some text on the screen, and we're going to put a mask around the car that we're going to animate the mask as it drives away, so it will reveal the text. As always, first thing is to change the sequence name. So when I put this clip on here, it created this sequence under this name. So let's change it just to sequence 1, just to keep it easy. So now this is sequence 1, this is sequence 1. If I click here, I can see that it's its own little icon that looks like this, not this one. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to use our type tool. We've used it before. Let's come back down here to the type tool, or T, hit the T button on your keyboard to switch to the type tool. And we're going to come up and start typing on the program monitor again. Just click once. You don't need to click and drag a text box. You just need to click once. So let's type in text reveal. And as always, make sure your text is a nice big bold text, easy to read. You can highlight your text and come over here. Make sure you have the text selected. And if you come over here under effect controls, you'll see this option for the text. Click on it to adjust the size. I adjust the size right here and the font. Pick a nice, bold, easy to read font. You know me, the one I like the most is this impact one. You can pick whatever color you like as long as the color is easy to read. And now we just need to reposition the text. So let's go back to our selection tool, or hit V, go back here, and let's move the text. We're going to have it right on the body of the car, like that, maybe a little bit bigger. However font or whatever color text you have, put it right here so it goes along the body of the car and it fits within the car. Don't have it sticking out like this. We want it to be completely covered by the trunk and body of the car, like that. Okay, perfect. The next thing is to make sure that our text layer, the one that we added just now when we started typing, it created this text layer. We want it to be the exact same length as the video clip. So let's move this over so they start and end at the same point. And let's trim this end so they all line up perfect, just like that. Okay, so now we are going to add a mask. So we're going to draw a mask on the type layer, not the video layer. Don't draw a mask on the video. We're going to draw it on the type. So now come back up here to your effect controls. Once you've been satisfied with your text style, just close this little menu because we don't need it anymore. We're going to come down here under video and opacity, and we're going to create a mask just like we did in the previous lesson using this pen icon. This is not the pen tool. The pen tool is down here. This is just the free draw icon, but it has the same pen head icon. So for this one, we're going to click on this. Make sure you click on it so you only have this one mask. If you come over here and you start drawing, or you lose your mask and you get confused and you want to draw it back, every time you click this pen, you're going to keep adding more masks, and we don't want that. We just want one. So if you add more than one on accident, click on this one, right click, and then do clear to delete it so you only have one. And if you don't see your pen, if you hover back over here and you don't see the pen head, click where it says mask 1, and then you'll see it come back. All right, so just like we did before, we need to zoom in so we could draw a pretty precise mask around the edge of the car. So let's change our fit to zoom in. You might need to do 1 or 150. Switch to the hand tool or hit H to move around the image. right about there. I'm going to zoom out just slightly. All right, that looks good to me. Right there is looking good. Let's go back to our selection tool so I can start drawing. For this one, we don't need to draw a super precise mask around the entire car. It only needs to be precise where the text is going to be revealed. So the text is going to be revealed from the trunk of the car because the car is moving this direction. So the back half of the car where the text is coming out of, that part needs to be precise. The rest of it doesn't need to be that precise. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's just start clicking, let's say around the back of the car. Let's start right about here at the trunk. Let's start clicking and drawing our mask. Again, make it as precise as possible. Zoom in as needed to make it really precise around the trunk of the car. No gas pipe right there, don't forget about that. And get to the trunk. And let's go down to the tire. Once you get to the tire, we can stop making it precise. So watch this. Now what I can do, I'm going to use my hand tool to move a little bit more. And then I'm going to hit the selection tool again to go back to the pen. So now the rest of the mask doesn't really matter, but it just needs to be big enough to cover the rest of the car area. So now I'm just going to click way over here and then way over here. And then I'm going to click back on the original. The only part of the mask that matters is this part because this is where the text is coming out of. The rest of it could just be a big square. So now, once you've done that, you should see the dotted lines around it means you close the gap. If it doesn't look like this, where you see these dotted lines, you missed the closing the gap. So make sure you zoom in and you click on the original point to close it. Now we're going to hide the text by clicking this inverted mask right here. Click invert and the text will disappear. If you click invert and the text does not disappear, again, it means you didn't close your mask all the way. So zoom in and make sure you click that point to close it. All right, now we're looking good. So now I have the hand tool, but that's different. Now I haven't switched to the hand tool. It's a hand because now I can move the mask around. If I click and move the mask around, you can see it's masking out the text, but I don't want to move it just yet. I'm going to hit Control Z to put it back where it belongs. Set the mask feather to 0. So it's a nice, sharp, clean mask. And now we're going to start animating the mask as the car drives away. So in order to do that, to start animating it, we need to click the stopwatch for mask path. So when we click the stopwatch, that's when we start creating keyframes. That means it'll start tracking keyframes every time something changes. So we're going to click this stopwatch for mask path. And then the stopwatch is running. It's blue. It creates this blue dot and this keyframe right here. Your mask will probably disappear, but that's okay. To make it come back, just click over here on mask 1 and it will come back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move 1 to 2 keyframes ahead at a time and we're going to move the mask with it. Make sure you click this stopwatch. If you do not click this stopwatch, and this happens all the time where people start animating the mask and they realize they never activated the stopwatch, you're going to have to do it all over again because it's not going to animate. So now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to switch back to my hand tool so I know that I'm actually moving around the screen and I'm not moving the mask. This part can be tricky. I'm on the hand tool so I can move the screen around. If I'm on my selection tool, it still looks like a hand, but this means I'm moving the mask around and I don't want to do that just yet. But I am going to do it right now. So now we have our stopwatch running, keyframes going. So let's get started. So you're going to come over here, the step forward 1 frame, click on this. As you click on this, it moves forward 1 frame at a time in the video. So we're going to move forward 1 to 2 frames at a time. In the beginning, it'll go slow, but then as the car picks up speed, it'll go faster. So I'm going to go a couple. And as I move, you'll notice I need to move the mask with it. So I'm just going to grab the mask and drag it over just a little bit to move it slightly. And what happened is every time I do that, it creates another keyframe. So I'm going to go 1 to 2 frames again, 2 frames. And then I need to adjust the mask so it stays behind the car. For the most part, you can just drag the mask over. You don't have to move every single dot. You will have to move the dots a little bit as the car starts to turn, but you won't have to do that the whole time. So I click the mask again, and now we're just very gradually clicking 1 frame at a time and moving the entire mask over. And you'll notice you will have to move these dots on occasion. Right here, I can see it's starting to change. Just click on the dot and move it in case the car shape changes. So let's just do that. 1 to 2 frames. Keeping it going, lining up, and just moving these dots a few times. You don't have to move every single dot every single frame. For the most part, you can just drag the mask over and just double check that all your dots stay in line. It's looking good. And just keep going. You notice each time I do that, a keyframe is being created. Every single frame I move over and move the mask, a keyframe gets made because I'm animating the mask now. And you can see what's starting to happen. As I move it, the text is starting to come out from the back. So again, just make micro adjustments to each dot to make sure it stays in line with the car. You will need to change these because the car will start to turn and you'll need to adjust where the position of the dots are a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Here. So keep going. I'm going to speed this part up, but you get the idea, just clicking one frame at a time and moving it over and moving the dots. In case you screw up or miss it or click away or something, that's okay. Just click back here, make sure your mask is highlighted, and you can go back to doing it. So just one frame at a time, clicking and dragging like this. And again, just adjusting these little dots as needed as the car starts to turn. I'll speed this part up, and then we're going to stop once we get to the end of the word. So once you get to your final keyframe and you moved it over, you can stop once the entire word has been revealed. You do not have to mask the car driving all the way out of frame. Once the whole word has been revealed, then you can stop animating your mask. And you'll see all these keyframes that were created every step of the way. If I go back to fit and I play the video now, if I go back, you can see how the mask is animated to move at each keyframe, one keyframe at a time. It's moving out of the way. And again, the only part of the mask that really matters is this part right here behind the car. This whole part doesn't really matter because it's not revealing anything. So now if I go back and I play the video, if I press spacebar and play, you can see the effect right there. If you need to fix anything, you can go back and make any adjustments that you need to do. So if I need to go back and realize that this one looks unclean, I can go back to any of these points along the way, see where any of them need to be fixed. Like if I need to fix this one, just move it to there, make sure I'm on my mask, and I can just make any little adjustments I need to, and it will be just fine. So let's do that, go back to fit, and let's see our mask again, making this cool dramatic text reveal. So that looks good. So again, you're probably not there yet, you're probably still masking, that's fine, just take your time, get to that full point as you saw right here. When you are done, you will do the same thing on mask path 02. Remember to put it on its own sequence. So take mask path 02, drag it down, put it on its own sequence right here, and you're going to do the same thing as this child runs past or jumps past right there. For this one, I want you to use the word graphics. First, let's rename our sequence to sequence 2 so we don't get confused. And then we're going to do the same thing. When you're ready to get to this point, come here and we're going to type the word graphics. So we can move it around, we can adjust it, make sure it's the same length as the video, all the same stuff that we just did. Go back and watch that part again. For this part, we're going to make it really big and we're going to have it reveal as he gets to the middle of the video. So make your text nice and big. So across this whole thing. Like that. And what you're going to do is you need to start your mask before the kid starts to reveal. So right before your text is going to come in is when you need to start your mask. So not right there, I need to start it right about there. So same thing, you just need to draw your mask now. Let's go back to our opacity under the text, click the pen, and we can start drawing. Make sure you zoom in, and you only need it to be precise around this side where the kid is going to jump. Once you draw it precisely right here, you can then just go really big on this side. So right here, let's just start our mask right about here. And we're going to get precise with it. For now, that's okay, but we'll add some more. So now that we've done that, the rest of it can just be clicking way out here, and way back at the beginning. Set the feather to 0 and click invert to hide it. So make sure before you start that you click this stopwatch button to set the path and then turn the mask back on. And then as you go one frame at a time, you'll just need to move it along with the kid. And you will need to make some adjustments because their body is moving so much. You're going to have to follow the path with the leg and the arm as it starts to swing. So this one will be a little bit more challenging, but all you need to do is take your time and you'll be able to do it no problem. So just go one frame at a time and just make your adjustments. Make sure that you zoom in as needed to make sure it's precise. I could see if I zoom in, it is not precise at all, so I need to fix it. You can always add more dots as well. If you just click with the pen on the line, you can add another dot to increase any kind of bending that you need to do. So I won't go through this entire one with you again because I already did that. But I want you to do the same thing you just did with the car. And as always, you will export both sequences. Export the sequence with the car driving away, and then export the sequence with the kid revealing the graphics text when you're all done. Okay? As always, have fun and let me know if you have any questions.